Now I'm going to go through the whole stack and I'm going to mark where each individual separation of wood is. Like this one, I don't need to mark where the maple splits, but I need to mark where the walnut splits, because when I cross cut, I don't want these voids into my coasters. Normally I am completely opposed using Sharpie, magic marker, whatever you want to call it, on wood. In this scenario, I am using it because I want it to be bright as day and I don't want to miss the pencil line, because if I accidentally get one of these voids in a coaster, then the coaster's no good. And also, I have in this area from here to here, I'm only going to be getting 2 coasters and I should have at least like an inch of scrap. Same with here, same with here. So I'm going to go through the whole stack and do that, and then I'm going to get the paper and I'm going to stick it over the face. I only need to do one face because the other edge is facing down and the residue doesn't get on it. And this edge is going to get lasered, so it needs the paper. But the reason I'm marking it is because once the paper's over it, I don't know where that mark is or where the hole is, and the mark shows it. Alrighty. As you've seen, I've been trying to keep them in somewhat of an order, but I guess I failed. I have 2 that match and then 1 that does not. Well, The only reason I was keeping them in order is I wanted to try and keep the same length because they are different lengths. Well, this ends up working out where they're close enough anyways, so that's all right. I'm going to do this one in real time, and then after this I am going to trim all the edges, all this little feathery stuff, because I don't want it getting in the way of the saw and making it not square. And then I'm going to start cross cutting them to size. This stuff does not have an extreme amount of stick or tack to it because it's meant to come off after you engrave without breaking parts. Any tiny little fingers or edges or whatever, so it does not have a lot of tack. That's why I'm using the laminate roller to stick it down to try and help, because I am going to be cutting it and I don't want to have it fly off on the saw. Oh, serves a purpose. That's the first one that I misaligned. I just peel it back up and stick it back down. I guess I can't talk and work at the same time. I will record just trimming one or two of these, but the rest of them I can record. Let's see how this goes. Not very easy. Probably would be better if I don't shut down. Well, it might work better. Let's see if I have one set up. I might be able to use a sanding block. This aggressive, semi-aggressive sandpaper. And just sand it off. Because that will serve a second purpose. It'll prepare the edge for a broken edge. Oh yeah, that's easy. Much better. Yep, I'm going to go through and sand them like that. And I'll see you back when I'm ready to cross cut. I am now set up for cross cutting. I ran my first test piece. First test cut, I should say. What I did was I set up the miter saw, or miter gauge. I ran it through like this, and then I checked to make sure that it was square, and it is, so the gauge is square. What I'm doing is I will hold this up against the miter gauge and then run it through. This is my 3.5 inch stop. If you don't have a fence that allows you to slide back and forth, you do not want the fence to be forward and have your piece run through with a miter gauge, because it'll cut off and it'll spin or twist and bind. That is a no-no. What you can do is, if your fence does not move, you can measure a block. Say this is 1 inch. You would clamp it onto here. You would set your fence at, if you wanted 3.5, you would set your fence at 4.5, bump your board to this, and then run it through. So you have that 1 inch gap between the board here and the fence. So when it's cut and loose, it can vibrate a little without binding and kicking. But I'm able to just set my fence back, and I don't need to do that. So I'm going to cut a couple of these, and then I'm just going to do a time lapse. Oh yeah, this is where my marks come into play. I can see them over here. Once I get to that area, I will cut those off and then just go by it. See, this might be shaky because you're on the table saw. close to the marks as possible because I don't want to be wasting unnecessary amounts. I'm trying to get at least 180 of these coasters. I don't know exactly how many I have. If I have to glue up more, I will. This is scrap. Also, the other pieces that I've let fall are scrap. So, here are first, I don't know, how many is this? First 8 coasters. That's what they'll look like. The other face with the paper on it is going to get laser engraved. And there you are. Now to cut about 1 billion more. So if I have 8 there, I'm not going to do the math in my head, but I had 36 of these times 8. Like I said, I'm not going to do the math, but who knows. Best case scenario, I get 8 out of each. That's awesome. Alright, I'm going to set up the time lapse now. And it seemed like that right here was a good position. There we have it. I got them all cut square. Oh, that's square. That's diamond, but it's the same thing. I have them all cut square. Now they're going to get loaded into the milk crate and brought to the laser. That'll be for another day though. It is dark. It is late. I am going to put these in the milk crate and call it a day. I'm not even going to clean up today. I made a mess with all the debris and that dust earlier. I have been so busy with everything going on, I haven't even had time to take care of the shop. Too many projects going on. Yeah, like I said though, gonna fill the milk crate up, bring them to the laser, get some stuff engraved into them, and then I'll be back. See you guys then. Oh yeah, I did forget to mention, I didn't give you a quantity of how many I cut. My goal was to get 180, but I kind of figured I'd have like 100 or 210, 220, somewhere around there. That was what I anticipated because the material I had. I showed you a couple stacks and now it fills the entire milk crate. It's actually over the top, and I don't know how I'm going to carry it without knocking everything all over, but I will let you guys guess, if you're interested in that, on how many I actually got. And when I post this video, you can guess on here, and I'll tell you the quantity on the next video when after everything's lasered, and then when I go to finish them. Maybe I'll do some type of reward if someone gets it. Alright, see you then. The next day, time for some shop cleanup and trying to organize some of this chaotic mess in here. Might actually have time today for it. Here you go.